How can you convince your seller to lower their price? Well, a few months ago, it was a seller's market. They could put their home on the market for whatever outrageous price they wanted and still expect cash buyers to come flocking in with offers way above the asking price. Now, that's no longer happening. If your seller sets their price too high, there's a big risk of their house sitting on the market, and even worse, having their listing expire. So as their agent, how can you convince them to lower their price? Well, I'm Brett Jennings with Real Estate Experts, and I'm going to share with you 3 tips to get your sellers to price it right. Here are the 3 things you can do when talking about price reductions with your clients. Number 1, manage their expectations. Let your seller know that when selling a home in a shifting market, price is much less predictable. And in essence, what we're doing is when we put a home on the market, we're testing the price of their home in the market. So to protect yourself from getting stuck with the seller resistant to lowering their price, discussions about price reductions should be held right from the start to help manage their expectations. Let them know when you go to sign the listing that after you come on the market, you're not getting the traction that you expect, that you agree upfront to reduce their price, typically after 14 or 21 days. You'll also want to assure them that, hey, look, we're not going to do this and not let you know what's happening. I'm going to give you weekly updates on the numbers of online views, saves, and showings. So if we aren't getting or seeing the numbers we expect, that we mutually agree to make a price adjustment. Now, if your client is a little resistant to the price that you suggest, let them know that you can actually test the price before coming to market. One way to test your pricing is to post it on Zillow coming soon for 5 to 7 days. And then what you do is evaluate the number or the ratio of saves to views. If your property looks good online and is priced right, you should see a ratio of at least 3% of people saving that home as a favorite. If that ratio is lower than 3%, then you're likely overpriced. If it's way over, then you could be priced below the market. Now, point number 2, maintain constant communication. Once you're on the market, you've already prepared them for what might happen, so the blow of a price reduction will be easier to handle if you have to go that route. Present your facts to the seller about the market that back up your claim if you're suggesting a price reduction. The best way to do this, and the way I do it, is to set your sellers up on a buyer search of all the properties that at their list price or lower. What happens here is when you're sending them the properties, they will see all the new listings that are coming that might be a better value than their home. This way, when you come to them about a price reduction that next week, they'll have already seen those properties, they'll have kind of digested that information, and they'll be way more open to the idea of a price reduction because they've had time to digest it. Now, once you've presented the market information, show them what their options are, and really emphasize how that price reduction can get them more offers and more exposure on their property. You can also highlight the risks that come with sticking with the same price. However, keep in mind that your seller ultimately should feel in control of their choices, so you don't want to be too pushy when it comes to taking a price reduction. Now, third, once you have gotten that conversation started about the price reduction, then it's about getting that price right. And in the end, the decision really of how much of a price reduction to make should depend on the seller. As their agent, you're the expert and they're going to rely on you for guidance, but it ultimately will be their choice. You have to offer market expertise and share the latest data on comps, obviously. But here's a couple things to consider when trying to determine how much of a reduction to make. Typically, the minimum price reduction that moves the needle is 3%. And an easy way to explain that to a seller is, look, like if we have a house that's priced at $1 million, we reduce the price 1% or 10,000, people are like, okay. It's not much. Now, if we reduce the price 2,000, it starts to get some attention. At 3%, we reduce it 30,000, people are now starting to pay attention. So we know that the minimum reduction should be 3%. But as far as how much of a reduction to do, here's a couple other things to consider. If you are getting showings for your listing, but no one is requesting disclosures, you could be off as much as 5%. Now, if you're not getting any showings, like no one is coming to the house, your pricing could be off as much as 10%. On the other end of the spectrum, if you are getting showings and you're getting people requesting disclosures or inspections, but you're just not getting any offers, that's typically when you're probably off around 3%. So again, 3%, 5%, or 10%. So how you educate your seller is going to be crucial when determining the price adjustment. There you have it. Follow these 3 principles to getting price reductions, and you'll never have to worry about having your listing expire. Thanks for tuning in, and this is Brett Jennings saying, don't just be the agent, be the expert.